Your boy JGoodWithSports is back once again with another episode. Forgive me if I sound a little congested. It is what it is. It's that time of year. We are in October. I cannot believe this year is just about over. Didn't mean to rhyme, but it happens like that. But anyway, look, there's a lot that has transpired since the last time I was here, last Wednesday. Nevertheless, let's get right into it. So, we're going to start with the NBA here. The training camp is back. All 30, teams reported to training camp. But as we know, the main event, well, I guess technically two main events has occurred since the last time I was around. One, Jimmy Butler, this is his second year in a row of, having some interesting hairdo per se, right? Last year he had the dreads out of nowhere. We looked at him like he was crazy. He was like, you know what, hold my beer. I'm going to come back with even something more fierce. So now I'm pretty sure you saw the straight hair, the kind of like the bob hairstyle going on. The memes all over the internet saying, panic at the free throw, ball out boy, all sorts of other stuff. Basically just saying, the man's emo, probably upset about, Damian Lillard finally being traded, but not to Miami. And speaking of which, that trade right there and everything else that transpired has basically set the tone for this season. So shortly after I recorded last Wednesday, we find out that Damian Lillard did get traded because we said he has to get traded before training camp. You want these things to happen before training camp so there's no issues in the locker room, doesn't affect chemistry building, all that stuff. The intangibles matter. They really do. And so we found out that Damian Lillard was part of a 3-team trade. He ends up with my favorite player in the league, Giannis, in Milwaukee. DeAndre Ayton ends up in Portland. You have Nurkic from Portland ends up in Phoenix, along with Grayson Allen and a couple more pieces. So the teams that was involved in this trade, I feel like they won. So obviously, Damian Lillard, the future Hall of Famer, probably top 2 point guard in the league right now. He ends up on a team that has done it all before. He ends up on a team that he is the perfect complement, the perfect piece to this equation. I forgot to mention that, of course, Jrue Holiday was shipped out in that trade as well to Portland, but he was ended up retraded to Boston, and we'll get into that in a second. But what Milwaukee has been missing is a guard that can really stretch the floor, that can create their own shot, and that can close games. And what Jrue Holiday brought to that team was excellent because at one point in time, it was the missing piece for them to win a couple years ago. Without Jrue Holiday, they do not get it done. They do not get past Brooklyn in that series, which, a lot of people felt that had Brooklyn been healthy, they probably would have won it all that year, and they probably would have, to be honest. Kevin Durant's big toe just having to be on that three-point line probably would have ended the series. That whole fiasco, that was, one heck of a series, and then for them to get past Atlanta afterwards and then get to the finals and play Phoenix, where Giannis, destroyed DeAndre Ayton, but also it was key plays by Jrue Holiday in those finals that led to Giannis and Milwaukee winning their first title in 50 years. So Jrue Holiday was definitely a major piece back then for them. But what they needed now was and is Damian Lillard. You see, Jrue Holiday, last time we saw him, he was on the court against Miami in the first round. Jimmy Butler was going, bonkers he was just playing out of his mind. And as we know, Jrue Holiday is labeled as an elite defender, but Jimmy was giving him problems. Jimmy was still, forcing his will and getting any type of bucket he can against Jrue Holiday. It didn't matter what Jrue did. Jimmy Butler was getting buckets on him. And as great of a defender Jrue Holiday is, at the end of the day, especially in this particular league and how the rules are set up, great offense trumps great defense nowadays. So with Damian Lillard coming into Milwaukee, he stretches the floor. He opens up lanes. He makes Chris Middleton's job better. He makes Pat Connaughton's floor spacing a lot better. He'll probably get wide open shots now. Brook Lopez will get easier buckets. And of course, Giannis will have free lanes to the hole now. Because what you can't do anymore is double team Giannis down low. What you can't do anymore is build up a wall and expect that to negate the offense. We have Dame Lillard pulling up for 30 like it's a layup nowadays. You can't do it anymore. That's the perfect compliment. Now, yeah, it is in South Beach. You don't have the palm trees and the smell of the Atlantic Ocean and the sand and all that. But from a basketball standpoint, you are in the perfect fit. Milwaukee, to me, is the favorites in the Eastern Conference, even after what Boston just did, in my opinion. But they are right there. There's no excuse. Get it done. And with this mood, is basically just Milwaukee just showed Giannis that we're committed to winning. We are doing whatever it takes. We rolled the dice here and said, we know Dame wants Miami, but hey, we don't care. You fit what we need, we're going to bring you in anyway. Sometimes those risks pay off, and I feel like this one is going to pay off. So, yeah, Milwaukee did their thing there. As far as Boston, the fact that they traded for Jrue Holiday shortly after he got traded to Portland in that 3-team trade, that shows me that they are trying to keep up with the Milwaukee Bucks. They gave up Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams, which to me, it's like I get it, but I don't. It's like I get it because you want to have, someone there that can defend Damian Lillard. I feel like that's the only reason why you make the trade, right? You don't have Marcus Smart no more. You gave him up for the Unicorn or My Little Pony or whatever Kristaps Porzingis is these days, whatever you want to call him. You gave that up, so you don't have a point guard that can defend anymore. Because as good as Malcolm Brogdon was, he was not an elite defender. So you make that move for Jrue Holiday. You gave up Brogdon, who is also, however, a really good six-man, a really good floor general himself that can do a lot of different things. So you lose that. You lose Robert Williams, who, in my opinion, was very vital to the Boston's run the last couple of years when he was actually on the court. He actually makes a difference out there. His rim protection is huge. His rebounding, his size, his athleticism, it is a big impact. So basically you're saying that, you know what, we're going to roll with Kristaps Porzingis as the guy to give Giannis problems. In essence, we're going to focus on Damian Lillard, slow him down, and then maybe we'll just build a wall against Giannis and figure it out later. I hope it's worth it. I hope all these trades in the offseason was worth it. I understand that you just gave Jaylen Brown $300 million contract extension. And you're going to have to re-up and do the same for Jason Tatum here in a bit. And so you're going to be tied to $600 million over two people that have yet to win a championship. You've gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals I don't know how many times. You got to the NBA Finals and was up 2-1, and also was winning Game 4 late in the fourth quarter until Steph Curry happened, and then the rest was history. But you're doing all this. You better come out on top somehow, some way in a very near future. Because at the end of the day, if you don't win, then it's all for nothing, right? I mean, of course, the players get paid. But what does Boston's relevance have to do with anything if you don't have the title and the trophy to show for it? So that's my only thing with that is the fact that you're making all these moves, and I hope it doesn't make your team worse. I know there's a lot of people, excited and saying Jrue Holiday is the missing piece to the Boston Celtics. But my last thing with that is, which Jrue Holiday are you getting? Are you getting the one that was an elite defender that helped Milwaukee win their first title in 50 years? That was known around the league as a elite perimeter defender? Or are you getting the one that Jimmy Butler just manhandled all in the first round of the playoffs this past May or April, whichever month it was? Are you getting that one? Because if you're getting that one and Damian Lillard's still cooking them for 30 in a series, then what was the point? That's all I have to say on that. All right, moving on. NFL. Other things that I've learned here. My team officially suck. There is no way it should be up 21 points. You're up 28-7 at halftime and lose 31-7. 31-28. There's no way. My quarterback showed up. Justin Fields showed up to play. Statistically, probably the best passing game of his NFL career. By far. Justin Fields was sensational. Threw for 4 touchdowns. Completion percentage was through the roof. He looked comfortable. He was making things happen. He answered the call, knowing that this is the crossroads of his career. Knowing that if he doesn't make anything happen, then he's not going to have an NFL career like he thought he would. Being a first-round pick in the NFL draft a couple years ago. He's trying to get to that second contract, to that mega quarterback contract that the rest of these quarterbacks are getting. Even the likes of Daniel Jones got his second contract. And we'll get into that in a second. So, granted, Justin Fields fumbled and Justin Fields threw a pick. But personally, I don't blame that on him. You know why? For starts, for the fumble, somebody blown a blocking assignment big time. Because there's no way that he should be, faking the handoff, turn around, and there's a defender right in his face. If you watch the replay, he came off the edge unblocked. And if that happens in that particular moment, there is a high probability that you're definitely getting sacked. And then there's also probably a 50-50 chance you do fumble the ball just based on the position that you're in at that particular moment at game speed. So, yeah. So, at that point, it tied the game. And then the fact that it was fourth and 1 in the red zone with about 3 minutes left. And it was 2 things for me in that particular moment. The safe option was to kick the field goal, go up 3. And that part is completely fine with me. But I also didn't mind if they went for it as well. Wish they did go for it. But if you're going to go for it, you're supposed to keep the ball in your best player's hands. And they didn't. So right now, Matt Eberflus, the coach of the Chicago Bears, is definitely under the hot seat. There's rumors circulating as recent as yesterday saying if he does not win tomorrow's game, the Thursday night game against the Commanders, there's a chance that he could be let go shortly after. Now, that's just a rumor. It could be about 10% true. Could be 100% true. Who knows? But what we do know is the Bears are winless. That particular game, they pretty much, gave up the game. Because I did mention they was up 28-7 at halftime. That means the defense just, stopped defensing. They just said, screw it. We just not gonna stop anybody. We got this game won. It doesn't matter. I mean, the offense, especially in the fourth quarter, they just stopped being aggressive. The play calling there just went completely 180. But I can't say, for the first three quarters, they look great. They look spectacular. This is the offense that we thought that we were going to get week one. As you see, the potential is there. It's definitely there. You can definitely, put up points. Heck, the Bears didn't have this much talent on offense last year, and Justin Fields was generating points for them. So, yeah, this was, like I said, this was a great game for Justin Fields. I don't blame this loss on him at all. That goes to the defense. That goes to the play calling. That goes to the head decision making. So, yeah, So right now the Bears are in line for the first pick and the second pick, because we have the Carolina Panthers first round draft pick this year, and they're 0-4 as well. The only two winless teams in NFL. At least the Bears on the bright side of things with the silver lining, they have both picks. Carolina just out here just losing to be losing. But I guess at least they got their franchise quarterback, but, that takes some time to develop. Because he's going through his rookie woes. It happens. It is what it is. Another thing I learned as far as the NFL, the Giants stink. They do. And personally, I feel like if we went head-to-head with the Giants, I think we would actually win. But, that's neither here nor there. But what I will say is this. The Giants definitely overachieved last year. Also, I would say is all that money that you gave Daniel Jones, you could have gave Saquon, you could have gave to some more offensive linemen, could have gave to some wide receivers, could have gave to somebody else on the offense. Giants gave 11 sacks to a Seattle team on Monday. The Seattle Seahawks, who are average at best on defense, got 11 sacks. The Seattle Seahawks, you can tell that they're well coached. You can tell that Pete Carroll gets the best out of his players. You can tell. Now, as far as the Giants, I don't know. But what I do know is you gave Daniel Jones $40 million, which I felt like, Saquon Barkley was the reason why he got paid, but Saquon doesn't get paid. And as you see, without Saquon Barkley, this offense is non-existent. And outside of that second half against the Arizona Cardinals, I believe that was week 2. Outside of that, it seems nowhere to be found. I mean, you got washed 40-0 week 1. You had to have that improbable comeback against the Cardinals in week 2. The 49ers embarrassed you in week 3. And then, Seattle comes in into your home, on Monday. Just boat raced you on Monday Night Football. You got the rookie, Devin Witherspoon, out here with pick sixes and everything else, just making a name for himself. Even got Jrue Lock coming to the game for a few and out here moving the chains. So, yeah, it was just an abysmal for the New York Giants. I'm, just dumbfounded there. Yeah, so something has to give. But, I mean, all in all, other quick hitters, I would say, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, that offense is very it's broken, for lack of words. The offense is broken. This is more than just Joe Burrow being hurt with a calf injury. The offense is broken. There's no offensive line to protect that man. They're not putting up the yards and the consistency that we are known for them to doing last year and the year before. So they're going through the woes. It's a lot of people that you can blame there. Miami, they took an L to a Buffalo team that definitely was upset there. So there's no more undefeated teams in the AFC. And I guess this upcoming Sunday we have the quote-unquote game of the week, the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy, in my opinion, should be in the MVP conversation. But I feel like the MVP of the league so far might be Christian McCaffrey. A healthy Christian McCaffrey has definitely unlocked this offense. Brock Purdy's living his best life. Kyle Shanahan's living his best life. And this team doesn't really have any weaknesses. I feel like if I'm to sit here to find a weakness, I'll be, splitting hairs at this point. As long as they can stay healthy, this is probably the team to beat in the NFL. They're probably going to the Super Bowl, and they're probably going to win it. And heck, if Brock Purdy did not get hurt last year in the playoffs, in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, I feel like they would have went to the Super Bowl. But maybe they might get their chance this year. So, yeah, and the last thing I would say about the NFL. So, we had our first London game. The Falcons and the Jags. As we know, the Jags, in London, that's their second home. Matter of fact, I think they get turned up in London more so than in Jacksonville these days. But if you watched the game and if you watched it on Disney Plus, you saw the Toy Story version of the game. And, people in my age group that grew up on Toy Story and the movies and seeing that, I mean, it was very nostalgic, but they actually did a really good job with it. That was dope. That was dope. I'm with that. They need more of Toy Story NFL games. They do. So yeah, that, I guess, for today, that concludes. Holla at your boy next week. JGoodWithSports podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. This weekend, per usual, I'm on my other two podcasts, the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, live 7 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, with my bros Brandon and Ian, as we break down what happened in the week of sports. Some like I'm doing right now, but more so on a bigger scale. Also, our NFL picks. We usually have a guest every week, so stay tuned on that. And then Sundays, the Destination Fantasy Podcast, the Fantasy Football Podcast. Man, that podcast is getting a lot of love. Sunday mornings, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as well. It's 7:15. All these are Central Standard Time. in the morning, and we just getting questions after questions after questions about lineup questions, trade scenarios, just conversation. It's a beautiful thing, and I do that with Ian and Deshaun, my bros there. So yeah, once again, JGoodWithSports podcast. I appreciate you all. See you next week. We're gonna get to it, but until next time, peace.